Hello guys, welcome to Tech and Tech. In my previous video, we talked about rifles and then we went on and talked about assault rifles. Now, we said that assault rifles were basically rifles designed for infantry engagements for under 300 meters because regular rifles were well accurate for over 2 kilometers, so they weren't really needed for a battle that was like 300 meters apart. Like, you wanted to shoot someone 300 meters from you, something that can shoot 2 kilometers away from you accurately is probably overkill. So you would prefer to have something like a submachine gun that has a high fire rate and something that's like a rifle with a high caliber so it can kill in one shot and so that it can fire accurately. This became the assault rifle because the name of it is on it. It's assault rifle. It's a rifle you use to assault your enemies. This is so that you don't have to engage them in close quarters with using the regular one-shot rifles because they would take a long time to reload and they had a very low fire rate. Machine guns were also known for their lack of a big magazine because they had fit very little ammunition, and their calibers were also weak and ineffective against armored targets, so they had to enlarge in the calibers. This led to the invention of the STG-44, which was the world's first ever assault rifle that was built by Nazi Germany during World War II. Now, many developments were made to equipment in and during and after World War II, which we're going to talk about them in our next few videos. One of these very great advancements made in warfare during World War II and afterwards was infantry, like how they were made. Because during World War II there was like only one type of infantry. It was regular infantry. But during World War II, due to the like motorization and mechanization of infantry, we got three different categories of infantry. One of them were motorized infantry. These guys basically had trucks and they were easier to transport, and they also could get supplies easier because they had trucks at their hands. And another one was mechanized. These guys were better used in combat. Like, these guys were better for logistical things, like you could move your soldiers around very fast. These guys were basic infantry. They were basically built everything that these two had, except that these guys had trucks and these guys didn't. These guys had usually armored trucks and these guys didn't. These armored trucks usually had a machine gun on them, and the infantry would sit in the truck and then they would be driven into battles. One would use the machine gun or cannon or anything that's placed on the armored truck, and then they would just go into the heat of battle. Now, the early armored cars weren't really safe because of the fact that they mostly had open tops, and the infantry was very vulnerable in them. A big part of World War II was urban warfare, and in which there was a lot of guerrilla warfare. Like, at any moment, the Russians could just throw some kind of a flame grenade. The Americans could just throw regular hand grenades into these German fighting vehicles, and then they would just go exploding, which was why they had to think of a solution. But before they could, the war ended and the Germans lost. This idea later on went missing for about 10 years until the Russians took back the idea and they wanted to create a tank truck hybrid, something that could be used like the tank. It has, you know, that the tank is armored, it's well protected, and it also can defend itself using a cannon or a machine gun, usually mounted on its turret. They wanted to have something like that while making it being as fast and versatile as a truck, and they could transport their infantry with it through rough terrains and through battlefields. Because, like, imagine their Normandy landing. There was a lot of blood going on because the infantry charging didn't have anything to use as cover. There was very little cover, and the Germans would just shred them using machine guns. Now imagine if they were armored, like these armored trucks, these IFVs. In fact, they are named infantry fighting vehicles, which basically just speaks for itself. It's a vehicle, it can fight, and it's for infantry. Like, imagine they had infantry fighting vehicles. They could fight back while being protected in the back of their IFVs. Now, this IFV, as I said, was a Russian idea. The Russians wanted something that is fast and versatile like a truck, can transport infantry, and is armored and protected, which led to the creation of the IFV, which, as I said, is a tank truck hybrid. It's just basically a mix of these two. It has a turret like a tank, it's well armored like a tank, it's fast like a truck, and it's versatile and can transport infantry just like a truck. And well, this was a massive creation at the time because well, IFVs took on the newer generations of mechanized infantry, and basically modern mechanized infantry don't even use regular transport trucks and the earlier models of these armored trucks. They use IFVs. In fact, the Bradley IFV is one of the most famously known ones. The BTR is also another one of them, the BTR series made by the Russians. Well, these two have something in common. They are, well, as I said, tank truck hybrids. They have armor, they have weapons on their top, they can transport infantry, and the BTRs are also uh, amphibious, meaning that even like you're on the battlefield, you're like, oh no, there's a river in our path. How are we going to go through it? And then like your driver just like turns on, you're in the back seat, he just looks at you, and then he winks, and then well, he just pushes the gas, and then he goes right through the river like it's nothing, like it's regular land over there. And then he drops you off at the drop-off point, wherever you have to go, whatever mission you have to do, and then you will do it, and then you will come back into the IFV, and then you would return home likely safely. Now, these IFV also had some issues because of the fact that the earlier models were very vulnerable, they did not have good armor, and well, the Russians basically made them mostly for protection against toxic and nuclear agents because like it was invented during the Cold War. And during the Cold War, everybody was scared of nuclear weapons because like that's the entirety of the Cold War. It was about nuclear weapons. And well, these IFVs were mainly designed to protect troops against nuclear threats and radioactive, because well, it was radioactive outside. Regular open-top vehicles would just get the infantry inside killed before they can even get a chance to jump into the battle. These IFVs were mainly designed for this. The counter machine gun attachment afterwards was just basically a complementary design because nuclear things were no longer a threat because they were declared a war crime. It was illegal to use them, and nobody would just want to use them because if they used one, everybody else would just use theirs, and well, the war would end. Which was why the amount of armor the infantry fighting vehicle needed was reduced, and in order to fill in the space, they started increasing the amount of weaponry they put on these massive these massive vehicles, which was why well we got the modern vehicles. Now these IFVs also act as support vehicles, meaning that not only they just drop off infantry in certain locations, even against like targets where like imagine you're fighting in a very long street, and then there's a guy with a machine gun at the end of it. Now, just going through this street like regular infantry would just be suicide because the guy has a machine gun, he shreds you all down. But going through with an infantry fighting vehicles, it's almost immune, it's impenetrable by machine gun shells, and well, it also has a cannon, so it can just start firing at the machine gun positions, and the infantry don't even have to do anything, meaning that it can also act as a support vehicle. Support vehicles also have support equipment. Like the Bradleys, they usually have smoke grenades, which they use to deploy smoke where infantry is needed or when they meet an armored target they cannot destroy. So sometimes they do try, but well, sometimes you can't. You gotta give up and you gotta escape, and that is when the smoke grenades will come in handy. They also, as I said, support infantry using these, like in a similar situation, a long street with a machine gun at the end. If you really want your infantry to go towards, like you just want your infantry killed, there's an officer in your regiment that you don't like and you just want them to get killed, you can just order them to go forward, and the Bradley will shoot these smoke grenades at the position your infantry is currently on, and due to the smoke, then it will just blindly start firing. Now, of course, this would still be deadly for the infantry that's inside the smoke, but it wouldn't be as deadly as if there was no smoke over there. Meaning that these IFVs are also support vehicles. They aren't only transport vehicles like the older, earlier designs of the IFV or troop transport vehicles, and they had the ability to fight for themselves. They weren't like a truck. Like a truck has no defensive capability. A mine, a flame, like even the slightest amount of grenade or flame would easily turn the truck over, catch it on fire, and the men inside would be totally dead. But well, with earlier troop carriers, this wasn't no longer a problem, but well, due to them having open top in urban combat, they were extremely vulnerable. Now, the Russians, as I said, wanted to protect their soldiers against chemical and nuclear agents, which was why they invented the closed top IFV with the weapons, and well, it's an idea that is still being used today. Now, also, World War II saw many advancements in armored technology, Now, if you want to know more about that, make sure to like this video so you get more videos like it in your recommendations tab. Subscribe to the channel and ring the war bell to be notified of the rest of the wars that will occur on the channel later. Thank you for watching again, and stand by for my next video.